So we'll begin by coming to stand at the top of your mat, feet together, palms together in front of the chest, chin slightly tucked in, long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. Keeping the continuous flow of breath. On the next in-breath, hands float up and gaze forwards. And bending the knees, whole of the out-breath, folding forwards with knees bent. In-breath, hips raise, and out-breath, relax the neck. So the hands can be as far down the legs as you need to. You can have a bend in the knees or a leg straight, just finding your individual point of stretch here. And next, in-breath, hands down to the floor, knees bend. On the out-breath, rooting down through the hands. So weight dropping down through the left foot, so the right foot becomes light. On the next in-breath, the right foot lifts, floats out behind. End of the out-breath, toes landing lightly. And the following breath, stepping smoothly back with the left foot, coming into downward dog. So feet hip distance apart, fingertips spread. Neck relaxed, gaze coming to the thighs. And following in-breath, knees smoothly down to the floor. Out-breath, feet flat, leaning back slightly. And taking the whole of the next in-breath, body flows through. And the whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. Gaze is the last thing to lift. Next in-breath, chest lifting directly up from the ground. Keeping continuous flow of breath. The following breath, curling the toes under, lifting the hips smoothly up and back. Remember, you're also fine to come to hands and knees first of all, and taking a second breath to lift the hips smoothly up and back. Feeling free to adjust the distance between the hands and feet as you need to. On the in-breath, the sense of the hips lifting up towards the ceiling. On the out-breath, feeling that the heels are sinking down towards the ground. And then the next breath, smoothly stepping up with the right foot. Remember, it doesn't matter at all where the foot lands. We're adjusting the hands back and the back foot back the same distance. On the out-breath, back heel drops, so foot slightly angled in. And then the following full breath, smoothly lifting up into warrior. End of the out-breath, palms together, arms lifted, gaze lifting. Lengthening through the sides. And next in-breath, back heel lifts, smoothly stepping up. And out-breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. If you need to step up to the top of the mat, make this part of the sequence. And next in-breath, hands smoothly up, gaze forwards. And soften the knees, folding forwards with knees bent, whole of the out-breath. Next in-breath, hips lifting, and out-breath, relax the neck. Just finding your individual point of stretch here, so the knees can be bent as deeply as you need to. Bringing the hips as high or as low as you need to. Then knees bend and out-breath, hands down to the floor. So weight dropping down through the right foot this time, so the left foot feels light. And next in-breath, left foot lifts, floats out behind. At the end of the out-breath, toes landing lightly, gaze towards front big toe. Keeping that continuous flow of long, slow, deep breaths in and out the nose. Having that long, lengthened feeling underneath the body. And remember, it's fine to have the back knee down to the floor if you need to soften. If you feel you need to engage or be more active, then back heel lengthening down towards the ground and front knee lengthening away from the back heel. Next breath, smoothly stepping back into downward dog. Keeping that continuous flow of breath, a sense of the hips lifting high on the in-breath, the arms lengthening away from the wrists. On the out-breath, a feeling that the heels are lengthening away from the hips as if they're reaching down towards the ground. Next in-breath, knees smoothly down to the floor, and out-breath, feet flat. And the whole of the next in-breath, chest flows through, body flows through. Remember, you can adjust the hands if you need to. And whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. Gaze is the last thing to lift. Next in-breath, a feeling that the chest is lifting directly upwards from the ground. And feeling free to flow through the variations as you need to, whether you need to soften or activate. Finding your individual point of stretch here. So next breath, curling the toes under, either a breath to hands and knees, then the following breath into downward dog. Or if you prefer, you can just take one breath, lifting the hips smoothly up and back into downward dog. And next breath, smoothly stepping up with the left foot. Remember, it doesn't matter at all where the left foot lands. You can adjust the hands back and the back foot back the same distance. Then on the out breath, the back heel drops with the foot slightly angled in. So feel a sense of rooting down through the outside edge of the back foot. And the following breath, taking the full in and out breath to rise up into warrior. Palms come together and gaze is the last thing to lift up just at the end of the out breath. We have a sense that the front knee and the outside edge of the back foot are lengthening away from each other. You can take the hips as low as you need to, finding your individual point of stretch here. Actively lengthening through the sides of the body, through the lower back. And next in-breath, back heel lifts, weight tips forward, stepping up with the back foot, and whole of the out-breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. So next breath, the arms separate, float round behind, holding on to the forearms or coming into reverse prayer. In-breath, lengthening through the spine, and soften the knees, whole of the out-breath, folding forwards with knees bent. Next in-breath, hips lifting, and out-breath, relaxing the neck. So as the hips lift, you'll notice that the bend will come out of the knees. You can take the hips as high as you need to, just finding your individual point of stretch here. Remember, we're actively letting go of any sense of how far it looks as though we've come, and instead just focusing on building awareness and how it feels. So following breath, hands slide down the back of the body, down the back of the legs, interlace the fingers and turn the palms away from the body. And next breath, hands separate, knees bend, hands down to the floor. And following breath, smoothly stepping back with the right foot. One full breath here, and then stepping back into downward dog. Hips lifting, heels drawing down away from the hips. Neck is relaxed. And on the next in-breath, knees smoothly down, and out-breath, feet flat. Leaning back slightly. Whole of the next in-breath, body starts to flow through. And the whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. Gaze is the last thing to lift up. So just taking care that you're not pulling the head back and crunching through the back of the neck. Following breaths, toes curl under, either taking one breath to come into downward dog, or if you prefer, a breath to hands and knees, and the next breath into downward dog. Feeling free to adjust the distance between the hands and feet if you need to, keeping the feet hip distance apart. And next breath, right leg raises up behind. And take the gaze towards the opposite big toe. And then smoothly stepping up with the right leg. Remember, it doesn't matter at all where the foot lands, adjusting the hands back foot back the same distance. And next breath, stepping up with the back foot. So on the out breath, feet together, hips dropping down as low as you need to. So we're coming down into a squat, but keeping the soles of the feet in contact with the ground. You can have the hands down by the sides of the feet if you prefer. You can outstretch the arms, bring the palms together. Either way, the gaze coming in towards the body. And then focusing on the chest. As the chest starts to move forwards and up, the hips keep sinking down, arms lifting up through the center. Gaze is the last thing to lift up towards the hands. So the hips can be as low as you need to. And what we're looking for is this sense that the chest is curling up and away from the knees. So it's absolutely fine to have like straight version as well. Whichever variation you're in, a sense that the chest is curling up and away from the knees. And next in-breath, legs straighten, lift the hands, lift the gaze, and out-breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. If you need to step up to the top of the mat, making this part of the sequence, moving with the breath. And then following breath, arms separate, float rounds behind, taking hold of the forearms or coming into reverse prayer. In breath, actively lengthening through the spine, and then bending the knees, whole of the out breath, folding forwards with knees bent. Next in breath, hips lifting, and out breath, relaxing the neck. Taking the following breath to slide the hands down the back of the body, down the back of the legs. End of the out breath, interlace the fingers, palms turning away from the body. Keeping the focus with the breath, building awareness in the posture. Remember, it's absolutely fine if you notice that the mind's wandering, whether that's from internal distractions or external distractions. We just take away any importance from the distractions and bring the focus back to the breath. It doesn't matter at all how many times you have to do this through the practice. Next breath, hands separate, knees bend, out breath, hands to the floor, and following breath, smoothly stepping back with the left foot. Taking one full breath here, and then stepping back into downward dog. So we take a full in and out breath to step back into downward dog. End of the out breath, hips lifting, heels drawing down towards the floor, and neck is relaxed, gaze coming towards the thighs. Taking the next in-breath to bring the knees smoothly down to the ground, and out-breath turning the feet flat. And the whole of the in-breath, body flows through. And whole of the out-breath, rooting down through the hands of the forearms. Gaze is the last thing to lift. Just take care not to overextend, crunching into the back of the neck. And the following breath, chest lifting directly up from the ground. Got that space between the shoulders and the ears. And then following the rhythm of the breath, curling the toes under. Either one breath to lift the hips smoothly up and back into downward dog. If you prefer, you can take a breath to come to hands and knees, and a second breath to come into downward dog. And next breath, left leg raises up behind. Remember, there is knee down version as well. The only difference in this version being that the leg comes directly out behind rather than lifting up higher than the hips. So taking the next full breath to step forwards with the left leg. And a breath to adjust the hands and the back foot. And the following breath, stepping up with the back foot, feet together on the out breath, the hips dropping down, coming into a low squat, but keeping heels in contact with the ground. Hands can be by the sides of the feet. If you prefer, you can bring the arms out in front of you, palms together, keeping the gaze in towards the body. And bringing the focus to the chest. And next breath, chest moves forwards and ups. Arms float up through the center. So gaze stays looking downwards just at the end of the out breath. Hands lifted, gaze lifting. Knees can be bent as deeply as you need to. And we're looking for that sense of the chest curling up and away from the knees. Keeping the focus with the breath, feeling free to activate or soften as you need to. And in breath, legs straighten, lift the arms, lift the gaze. And out breath, hands smoothly down in front of the chest. If you need to, taking a couple of breaths to come to stand at the top of the mat. Hands together in front of the chest. So next in breath, hands float up. And on the out breath, gaze lifts up towards the hands. Keep the breath flowing here. And the following breath, the arms begin to circle. So right arm moving backwards, left arm moving forwards, taking the arms in line with the shoulders, and the gaze turns towards the back fingertips. And just be aware of what's happening to the inside edge of the right foot. If it feels as though that's starting to lift, just rooting down through the foot. Focus with the breath, lengthening out through the fingertips. And next breath, the arms begin to float down, turn to face forward, bending the knees, bringing the right hand onto the outside edge of the right knee, and crossing the opposite elbow over. And then a breath to bring the hands together in front of the chest. And the next breath, right shoulder lifting up. Gaze turning up towards the ceiling, taking the hips as low as you need to. Keeping the breath flowing here. Remember, it's fine if you notice the mind wandering. Just letting go of any importance from the distractions, bringing the focus back to how it feels, back to the breath. So next breath, body starts to turn forwards, to interlace the hands behind the legs, palms turning away from the body, neck relaxed. Finding your individual point of stretch here. And following breath, releasing the hands, bending the knees, bring the hands together in front of the chest, so palms together in front of the chest. And following in-breath, smoothly coming to upright. And then out-breath, hands lifting the gaze up towards the hands at the end of the out-breath. And following breath, circling the arms, this time left arm going back, right arm coming forwards. Taking the arms in line with the shoulders, turning to gaze towards the back fingertips. Just be aware of what's happening now to the inside edge of the left foot, so rooting down evenly through both feet. And next breath, as the arms start to float down, turn to face forward, bending the knees, folding forwards, bringing the left hand onto the outside of the left knee. Next breath, crossing the opposite elbow over, and bringing the palms together in front of the chest. And the following breath, opening out to the side, so left shoulder, lifting, taking the gaze upwards, hips as low as you need them to be. Keeping that continuous flow of breath. And following breath, hands separate, folding forwards. Bringing the hands behind the legs, interlace the fingers, turn the palms away from the body. As the hips lift up, neck relaxes, finding your individual point of stretch here. And releasing the hands, knees bend, palms together in front of the chest. And then we'll take a full in and out breath to smoothly come to stand upright, palms together in front of the chest, actively lengthening through the spine, gaze forwards. So next breath, lean to the right, breathing out, feel the right foot rotate. Following breath, left foot as high up the inside of the leg as you need to. And taking care to be either below or above the knee. And following breath to raise the hands above the head. So full in and out breath to lift the hands. Remember, it's absolutely fine if you wobble or lose your balance. This is a practice in mind focus. So even if the foot comes down, just let go of any distractions. Take away the importance from any of the distractions. And bring the focus back to the body and the breath. Taking 3 breaths to come back into position if you need to. In breath, hands float back down in front of the chest, and out breath, foot down to the floor. Next breath, lean to the left. On the out breath, feel the left foot rotate. Take the following breath to take the sole of the right foot as high up the inside of the leg as you need to. Again, taking care not to place it onto the knee, either above or below the knee. You're also fine to keep the toes on the floor and have the sole of the foot over the ankle. And second breath to raise the arms above the head. If it's helpful, you can find a point to fix the gaze. And focusing on the breath and the body. If you feel that you're wobbling slightly, then you can bend the knee of the standing leg. Just feel that rooting down through the sole of the foot, and then gently straighten the standing leg again. In breath, hands float down. Out breath, foot comes down. Next, in breath, lean to the left. Feel the left foot rotate. And following breath, step back with the right foot. And on the out breath, turning the body to the side. So if you need to take a breath to adjust the position of the feet, that's absolutely fine. Following breath, the arms float down. On the out breath, lift the arms up in line with the shoulders. Turn the left foot forwards. Take the gaze to the tips of the left fingers. With the following breath, pelvis tilts, leaning out to the side. And then the next full breath, the left arm floats down as the right arm floats up. Allow the gaze to follow the left hand till it comes into contact with the leg. You're fine to keep the gaze down, or you can take a breath to lift the gaze to the top thumb. Take the following breath to bring the top arm another 90 degrees or so over. Still with this sideways facing feeling, a sense of lengthening out through the crown of the head. And with the following breath, focusing on the abdomen, turning down towards the ground. So take a bend on the front knee. You can bring the hands to the floor or keep the hands on the legs if you prefer. Adjust the back foot in slightly. So we're turning the back foot in another 45 degrees or so. Feel a sense of rooting down through the outside edge of the back foot. Once that back foot feels nice and strong, you can begin to straighten the front leg as much as you need to. So the way that we do this is by focusing on the left hip and lifting the left hip up and back rather than pushing into the knee. When you find your individual point of stretch here, following breath, folding forward as much as you need to. You can have the hands on the leg, or you can bring the hands to the floor either side of the foot. If you're feeling a bit wobbly, remember to step the front foot to the outside edge of your mat, or if you prefer, you can take a bend in the front knee and bring the hands onto the floor. So next breath, take a deeper bend in the front knee, bring the palms together above the front foot, keeping the back leg strong, keeping a bend in the front knee. Next breath, body lifts up. On the out breath, hands lifting up above the head, and gaze is the last thing to lift upwards. Then taking the gaze directly forwards, lifting up the back heel, and on the out breath, back knee comes down to the floor. You can turn the foot over so the top of the foot's resting onto the ground. If you feel a bit wobbly, remember to adjust that front foot. You can move it forwards, take it to the outside edge of the mat. Hands lifting, so next breath, chest lifts, gaze lifts. If you feel you need to be more active, the hips can move forwards. Building awareness in the posture, finding your individual point of stretch here. Remembering that this may vary from breath to breath. And we're actively letting go of any discussion or judgments of how we think it should feel. Instead, just noticing how the position feels, finding the variation that's right for you in the moment. So next in breath, hands float down in front of the chest. On the out breath, arms sweep behind the body, interlace the fingers. So palms facing in towards the body this time. Lifting and lengthening through the arms, chest lifting. And then bringing the hands together in front of the chest. And curl the back toes under. And either keeping the hands together in front of the chest or bringing the hands onto the floor, the inside edge of the foot, smoothly coming to stand upright with the next breath. Turning to face the sides. If you need to adjust the feet, then making this part of the sequence, moving with the breath. Hands together in front of the chest. And next breath, the arms float down. On the out breath, raising the arms up in line with the shoulders, turning the right toes out, taking the gaze to the tips of the right finger. So actively lengthening out through the fingertips. Taking the next full breath to tilt the pelvis, leaning out to the right hand side. And then the following breath, the right hand floats down, the top arm floats up. The gaze can follow the right hand till it comes into contact with the leg. Fine to keep the gaze down towards the ground, or if you prefer, you can take a full breath to raise the gaze up towards the top thumb. Either way, we have this sideways facing feeling. If you feel that the chest or the abdomen is starting to collapse down or turn down towards the ground, then you can just raise the right arm up the right leg slightly. And then beginning the movement with the lower abdomen. Next breath, next breath, take the top arm another 90 degrees or so over. Still with this sideways facing feeling, the upper body. And a sense that you're lengthening through the crown of the head. So as if the crown of the head is lengthening away from the back hip. And now focusing on the lower abdomen, turning down towards the ground. Taking a bend in the front knee, bring the hands together either onto the leg or you can bring them either side of the front foot. And adjust the back foot in 45 degrees or so. So taking care that you've got that rooted feeling through the outside edge of the back foot. Back leg strong. Once you have that feeling, you can begin to straighten the front leg. And we do this by focusing on the right hip, lifting up and back rather than pushing into the knee. So you can straighten the leg as much as you need to, finding your individual point of stretch here. And then folding forwards with the next breath. Keeping a continuous flow of breath, feeling free to soften or activate as you need to. And And next breath, taking a deeper bend in the front knee, bring the palms together above the front foot. Keeping the back leg strong, following breath, body lifts up. Raising the arms above the head, so the gaze is the last thing to lift to the hands above the head. And then on the in-breath, take the gaze forwards, lift the back heel. On the out-breath, back knee comes down towards the ground. So remember to feel free to adjust the front foot if you need to. So if you feel as though the front heel is starting to lift, you can move the foot forwards. If you feel a bit wobbly, you can step the front foot to the outside edge of your mat. And next breath, gaze lifting, chest lifting, lengthening up through the sides of the waist. If you feel you need to be more active here, the hips can move forwards. On the next in-breath, hands come down in front of the chest. On the out-breath, the arms sweep behind the body, interlace the fingers. So chest is lifting and the gaze is now coming just slightly higher than directly ahead. Actively lifting and lengthening through the arms. Hips can move forward if you need to. And taking the following breath to bring the hands together in front of the chest. So either keeping the hands in front of the chest, or if you prefer, you can bring the hands down to the floor onto the inside edge of the front foot. And then take the next breath to curl the back toes under, smoothly coming to upright and turning to face the sides. So from here, we'll turn the right toes out 45 degrees, then the left toes out 45 degrees, then take the heels to join. So we're widening the feet an extra hip distance or so apart. Next breath, the arms sweep behind the body, interlace the fingers. Following in-breath, actively lengthen through the spine, and on the out-breath, knees bend, folding forwards for the whole of the out-breath with knees bent. Next in-breath, hips lifting. So as the hips lift, the legs will begin to straighten. It's not important that the legs are totally straight, so just finding your point of stretch here. And on the out-breath, gazing down towards the ground. So the arms keep lifting and lengthening. Keeping that continuous flow of breath. On the next in-breath, knees bend. On the out-breath, rooting down through the feet. Keep the breath flowing here first of all. And then the next full breath, so next in and out breath, smoothly coming to upright. Gaze is the last thing to lift, keeping the arms active, so arms keep lengthening, lifting away from the body. Keep the breath flowing here. And then releasing the arms with the next breath. So in breath, actively lengthen through the spine. And then bending the knees, folding forwards for the whole of the out breath with knees bent. So this time, either bringing the hands down onto the floor, or if you prefer, you can bring the hands onto the thighs or the elbows onto the thighs. If the hands are down on the floor, then bringing them directly underneath the shoulders, gaze down towards the space between the hands. And with the next breath, raising the right arm up. So we're taking a twist to the side, raising the right arm up, gaze following the hands. If the hands are on the thighs or the forearms are on the thighs, then you can lead with the right shoulder, just opening the chest to the side, gaze lifting. Keep the breath flowing here. And the next full breath to gently lower down to the ground. And then coming to the opposite side, so taking a full breath to raise the arm, or if the arm or the hands are in contact with the thighs, then a full breath to lead with the shoulder, opening out to the left-hand side, gaze lifting upwards at the end of the out-breath. Keep the breath flowing here. And taking the next full breath, lowering back down to the ground. And in breath, knees bend, out breath, rooting down through the feet. And as the next in-breath begins, body starts to lift up, taking the full in and out breath. Come to upright, gaze is the last thing to lift. And keeping the breath flowing and coming down to a seated position onto your mat. So we'll take the legs wide. And taking the hands in front of the pelvis. Toes pointing upwards. Actively lengthening through the spine. And then on the out breath, leading with the pelvis, you can begin to fold forwards, walking the hands away from the body. Relaxing the neck. Focusing on the breath. And taking the next full breath, smoothly come to sit upright. Hands can come either side of the hips. And bring the soles of the feet together, knees out to the side. So we'll take a breath first of all to open the feet out. And once the feet have opened, next in breath, sitting tall. And then out breath, folding forwards. So again, the focus here is on the pelvis tipping forwards rather than feeling as though we're trying to bring the chest or the head down to the floor. At the end of the out breath, completely relaxing the neck. Keeping that continuous flow of breath. We'll take the next full breath to smoothly come to upright. And take the hands behind the body. So fingers pointing in towards the back, leaning the weight into the hands. So in breath, chest is lifting. Out breath, rooting down through the hands first of all. Then next in breath, knees float together. And on the out breath, the feet begin to lighten. So the feet can lighten and the toes can start to lift up, or the feet can lighten and you can still keep the feet in contact with the ground. If you feel as though the weight is just naturally coming out of the hands, you can bring the arms down by the sides of the legs. If you still feel like you want to engage here, then the shins can start to lift up, lifting the feet up. Keep the gaze towards the toes. Whichever variation you're in, whether you've got hands to the floor, or arms by the sides and legs raised, the focus is on lengthening through the chest, so the chest lifting upwards. And next breath, smoothly coming to upright. Bring the hands beside the hips, straighten the legs out in front. So legs together, extended out in front. Taking a bend in the right knee, and then right knee opening out to the side, sole of the right foot onto the thigh of the opposite leg, hands together in front of the chest. So on the extended leg, the toes are pointing upwards. Take a breath to actively lengthen through the spine. And next in breath, hands float up and gaze forwards. And out breath, folding forwards. Taking the hands onto the legs or onto the foot. Relaxing the neck. And bringing the hands onto the floor, either side of the extended leg. Keep the breath flowing here, first of all. Then take the next full breath, so a full breath being an in and out breath, to smoothly come to sit upright. Hands can come beside the hips. A breath to straighten the right leg. And then next breath, left leg bends, knee opens out to the side. Hands together in front of the chest, a breath to actively lengthen through the spine. And following in-breath, hands float up and gaze forwards. And whole of the out-breath, folding forwards. So remember, the folding action comes from the pelvis. Hands come onto the leg or around the foot. Neck is relaxed, so gaze is coming in towards the body. And we're looking for a sense of lengthening through the front side of the body. Remember, we're actively letting go of any sense of how far it looks as though we've come, comparing it to how it might have been in the past or how we might want it to be in the future. Just letting go of any of these judgments as we would any other distraction, taking away any importance from the distractions. Instead, just focusing on the breath, focusing on how it feels in the position, allowing you to find your point of stretch. So next breath, bring the hands onto the floor, either side of the leg. Keep the breath flowing here. And then the following breath, smoothly coming to sit upright. So full in and out breaths to come to upright. Hands by the sides of the hips. Next breath to straighten out the leg. Then hands together in front of the chest. A breath to actively lengthen through the spine. Next in-breath, hands float up and gaze forwards. Then the whole of the out-breath, folding forwards. Making sure the hands are in contact with the leg or the foot. Again, letting go of any sense of how far it looks like we've come, instead focusing on how it feels in the position. Allowing you to activate or soften as you need to. So next breath, bring the hands onto the floor, either side of the legs. Keep the breath flowing here. And as the next breath begins, starting to slowly come to upright, taking the full breath. So end of the out breath, hands beside the hips, sitting tall. And then next breath, we'll take a bend in the knees and move the hips down to roughly where the knees are. Rolling down onto the back, so we're coming to lie down onto your back. Taking the feet hip distance apart, the arms down by the sides of the body, the palms facing down into the ground. So keeping a bend in the knees, bringing the heels as close as is comfortable to the body. Feet flat, chin tucked in slightly. We'll take the next full breath to raise the hips, so a full in and out breath to lift the hips. End of the out breath coming into your point of stretch here. Then one full breath whilst in position with the hips raised. Following breath to lower down to the ground. Next breath, knees come in towards the chest and hands onto the legs. And then a breath to rest here. So following breath, coming back to starting position with feet on the floor, arms down by the sides of the body. So take the first breath to raise the hips. Second breath with hips raised. Third breath to lower down. Fourth breath to bring the knees towards the chest and the hands onto the knees or the legs. And the fifth breath to rest here. After the fifth breath, taking a breath to come back to the starting position. And then continuing to flow with the breath. 5 breaths in total. Allowing the body to follow the rhythm of the breath. Finding your individual point of stretch in each of the positions. Noticing how this may vary from sequence to sequence. Allowing the mind to stay focused with body and breath. And the next time the knees come in towards the chest, take a breath to gently rock to the right hand side. So just an inch or so, very subtle movement, leaning the weight to the right hand side. Then on the in-breath, gently leaning to the left, again just an inch or so. On the out-breath, back to the right. Continue moving with the breath, so very subtle movement, just an inch or so. In-breath to the left, out-breath to the right. And then a breath to come to center. And the next full breath to lean to the left. Again, just a very subtle movement, an inch or so to the left. And in-breath, rolling to the right. Out-breath, back to the left. Subtle movements with the breath. And then a breath to come to center. So you can take the next breath to release the arms and the legs. And then we can prepare for relaxation. So taking time to make sure that you're comfortable. You can put on any warm items of clothing if you need to, using a blanket. And coming to lie down onto your back. Taking the arms by the sides of the body, comfortable distance from the body, with the palms turned up towards the ceiling. Legs can be wider than the hips, can be a little bit wider or a lot wider. Or if you prefer, you can have a bend in the knees, having the feet hip distance apart. Tucking the chin in slightly, allowing the eyes to gently close, and letting go of any effort with the breath now. Watching the breath as it moves in and out the body. Bringing your focus to the out-breath. Watching the whole length of the out-breath. And as you breathe out, feel whole body relax. Feeling whole body relax on the out-breath. And in a moment, guide your awareness through the different parts of the body. You can allow your awareness to rest on that part of the body, enabling it to soften that little bit more before moving on to the next. Beginning with the right hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpits, side, waist, right hip, thigh, knee, calf muscle, ankle, heel, sole of the right foot, top of the foot, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, the whole right side of the body, whole right side of the body, right the way through. Moving now to left hand thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, lower arm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpits, side, waist, left hip, thigh, knee, calf muscle, ankle, heel, sole of the left foot, top of the foot, big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, fifth toe, whole left side of the body, whole left side of the body, right the way through. Becoming aware now of the right shoulder blades, left shoulder blades, right buttock, left buttock, small of the back, the middle of the back, the upper back, the length of the spine, the back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head, forehead, sides of the head, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, the space between the eyebrows, right eyelid and eyelashes, left eyelid and eyelashes, right eye, left eye, right cheek, left cheek, the nose, tip of the nose, the upper lip, the lower lip, tongue, jaw, chin, throat, right side of the chest, left side of the chest, the middle of the chest, the navel, the abdomen, the groin, the whole of the right leg, the whole of the left leg, and both legs together, the whole of the right arm, the whole of the left arm, and both arms together, the whole of the back, the whole of the front, the whole of the head, the whole body together, whole body together, the whole body together, right the way through. Becoming aware now of your breath. Feel the flow of your breath in and out the lungs. Steady, natural rhythm of the breath, as if the body is simply breathing by itself. complete awareness of breath. Bringing your awareness now to your chest. Moving the awareness deeper, noticing the beating of your heart. A sense of the blood flowing around the body. Blood bringing calming energy, nourishing energy to each and every part of the body. And now allowing your awareness to come to rest onto the abdomen. Watching the rise and fall of the abdomen with the breath. Feeling the gentle rise and fall of the abdomen with the breath. And you can rest here, watching this rise and fall of the abdomen with the breath for as long as you need to. And only when you feel ready, keeping the eyes closed, you can turn to lie onto your side. Taking a few moments to rest here before gently opening your eyes when you feel ready. And then taking your time, slowly coming to sit upright. You can bring your focus back to your breath. And the practice is now complete.